Hey guys, it's Shamanda. I'm back with another vlog. This time we're talking about how to date someone with mental illness. So stay tuned. Alright, so guess what? It is 2020 and thankfully, people are starting to be more open about mental illness and it's becoming less destigmatized. So people are like, you know what? Yeah, so what? I'm bipolar. So what? I have anxiety disorder. So what? I struggle with depression. Okay. So there are millions of people out in this world right now with mental illness, diagnosed and untreated. It's going to be hard not to find or run into someone that doesn't have a mental illness while you're dating. So here are 5 ways to support someone that you're dating that has a mental illness. Number 1, educate yourself on their diagnosis. So if this person, they're cool, you guys are hitting it off, everything seems to be going great, and they say, you know what, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, or I was diagnosed with anxiety disorder, or I was diagnosed with depression, or, you know, I've lived with schizophrenia for a number of years. The first thing you want to do is educate yourself on it, especially if you don't know anything about it. Maybe you have a friend, or maybe you have a family member, or maybe you just heard about it in school during a psychology one-on-one class, but you're not too familiar with it. Educate yourself on it. Know the symptoms, know the triggers, learn about the different medications that one might take to treat it. Educate yourself. You also want to know some of the terminology that comes with mental illness. So one of the most important words you want to know is triggers. Because some people might ask, like, what is a trigger? What does that even mean? Because if your person that you're dating says, that really triggers me, that really bothers me, that means that it's something that will ignite some of their symptoms. So you want to be aware of that. So number 1, educate yourself on your partner's or your dating partner's mental illness. Number 2, be patient and understanding. Listen, if you've never dated someone with a mental illness, you are in for the run of your life, honey. I'm trying to tell you, okay? And this is coming from a therapist, also someone who lives with a mental illness. It is not easy, okay? So you have to be very patient and understanding. Understand that their mental illness is not their fault. It's something that is genetic, or something that came about due to trauma during childhood, or some type of traumatic event during adulthood. It's not their fault. And so they're being open and vulnerable and trying to date, which most people struggle with anyway, but definitely with a mental illness, you tend to shy away from that because it is hard to find someone that's understanding and patient. You may find that they're going to be overthinking things. They need to have things scheduled out, especially if they have like OCD or something like that. Like, just be patient and understanding. And guess what? If you did number 1, educate yourself, you already know this, okay? So, be patient and understanding. Number 3, this is so important, and I kind of already touched on this one. Number 3 is know their triggers. First, from number 1, you should know what trigger means. And yeah. So know their triggers. So maybe they have issues and challenges with abandonment. So you definitely want to make sure that you're giving them a lot of reassurance. Maybe you guys have had an argument and you haven't talked for a few hours. You definitely want to make sure you're texting, saying, you know what, I know we had an argument, but I'm just taking some time to think, but I'll definitely call you at 5 today, or after I get off work. That reassurance will go a long way, especially if they deal and struggle with abandonment from childhood, because it lets them know that you didn't just walk away from the relationship or the dating situation because of that, and that you're still in it. And it just really goes a long way. If there are issues with communication, you'll want to make sure that, again, you're texting, you're being consistent, and you're calling, and you're checking in. The good morning text, the good night text, all these things go a long way. Do not do the whole ghosting thing and disappear, because all these things would trigger that person's trauma, and you don't want to do that. Another thing is to be aware of like certain locations or people that might traumatize or trigger them. So if you know their background, know their backstory, you will stay away from certain things. Like some people have issues with clowns, or maybe a person struggled because they were in a car accident or something like that. So just be aware that maybe if you're driving or something and the person's like hypervigilating or being hypervigilant, then you'll know it's because of the PTSD from that car accident from the past or recently or whatever. So just be aware of their triggers and be patient and understanding. Okay? Seriously. Number 4, communication. Now this is with any type of relationship, whether there's mental illness involved or not. Communication is always, always, always important when you're dating or in a committed relationship. But when you're dating someone with mental illness, communication is so important. And not just that you're listening to them, but that you're listening and communicating in a very open and non-judgmental way. Struggling and living with mental illness is so challenging for most people. So being judged and not understood by the person you're dating or in a relationship with can just be an added burden and struggle, and we don't want that. So if you have questions or something's not working out, it's best to just communicate and say that. Don't disappear, don't do the ghosting thing, don't just, don't not care, because you want to be there. If you feel like this is just too much for me, I can't handle this, be open and communicate and say that. Just say, you know what, I thought I could do it, but it's just too much for me. Because guess what, if you don't and you carry on that relationship and you know it's not working out and you know you're not able to understand or commit to that, then you're going to just re-trigger that person and make it harder for them to finally find the person they love. And I'm pretty sure they're probably a good person, they just have a mental illness. And just because you can't handle it, honey, don't mean somebody else can't, okay? All right, last but not least, something you can really do to support someone while you're dating that has a mental illness is to be supportive. And that is by taking action, attending a therapy session or a support group, just to show that you're interested in learning about their mental illness. All right, that's it. Let me also just say, just a disclaimer, you are in no way obligated to stay with someone just because they have a mental illness. And if they're not willing to work on their mental illness and get the treatment they need in order to live a healthy and non-toxic life, then you're not obligated to stay in that, okay? So just educate yourself, be supportive, and be there, communicate, stay open, be patient, be understanding, and have a great time. All right, see you guys next time.